Hi, this is Dave. So, is the deluge of information that we're all facing, is that just washing over and overwhelming you? Well, you're not alone. I think it's pretty common. Here's a comment that I hear from time to time, and something like this: Dave, I'm spending more and more time dealing with information. It's squeezing out my selling time. That from a sales professional, but it's also true for, I think, everyone. Welcome to the information age. That person who asked a question is not unique, and you're not unique. This problem of information inundation is a relatively new but almost universal threat to our livelihoods. 4 or 5 years ago, salespeople were not too concerned with it, but today, dealing with information is so critical that it's an important part of almost every seminar I present. Here's the issue. Technological advances in recent years have multiplied the amount of information that you must handle. The quantity of information landing on your lap has increased from sources all around you. Think about how much information you must keep about your customers, for example. Just that one little piece. A few years ago, it was okay to keep everything in your head. Not a wise idea, but it was okay. Today, you need forms, documents, and files and systems. You need both electronic and paper to keep it all straight. Consider the technical details of the products and programs you sell as a second issue. So, customer information is one, products and programs you sell is another. Aren't they more complex and sophisticated than just a few years ago? And all that complexity about the stuff that you sell takes the form of additional information that you've got to organize and master. And what about the computer system you use and the information produced by them? Most salespeople I know could spend anywhere from, 4 to 8 hours a week, if they chose to, just reviewing computer reports. And then there's memos from the boss, service bulletins, price increases, government regulations, new product specifications, the details of ever more complicated applications, new updates of the software you're using. Man, your job is awash in information. And that sheer volume of information coming at you is like an approaching tidal wave. If you don't create some safe haven for yourself, you're going to be rendered ineffective by the absolute mass of information. Imagine how many precious selling hours you could waste each week if you don't harness that tidal wave of information, or manage the time robbed from your family and your personal life by the time that it takes to handle more and more stuff. So it's time to recognize the problem for what it is. It is a serious and malevolent new threat to your effectiveness. If you can't get a handle on managing information, it's going to impact your career. So what do? How do you overcome this threat? How do you get more control over information and protect your valuable selling time? Well, there's a number of strategies, and one of my books, 11 Secrets of Time Management for Salespeople, really articulates, I think, 11 strategies. But here's one. Defend yourself. Defend yourself. See, one strategy is to develop ways to defend yourself from being overcome with useless information. The idea is to keep tempting but useless information from stealing your time. To do so, you need to understand and implement 2 key processes. The first is screening. Imagine the screen on your window. The fine mesh allows the breezes that you want to flow into the house, while it keeps out of the house those insects that you don't want. So it allows in that which you want and keeps out that which you don't. That's the function of a screen. And that's the idea behind the process of screening for information. It's the discipline of creating a way to allow in that which you want and keep out that which you don't. Unfortunately, you can't surround yourself with a physical screen, but you can implement the discipline of screening all the information that comes your way. To do so, you need to establish the habit of quickly assessing every piece of information that cries out for your time and to quickly decide if it is likely to be useful. Useful is the key. That's the operative word that creates your screen. Useful. So, your quick perusal of a piece of information, so you glance at a piece of information and you make the determination, is this likely to be useful? If so, then you're going to consider it. If not, you're going to dump it right away. So you look at something and say, is this likely to be useful? So let's imagine you've come into the office and you pulled a pile of stuff out of your mailbox, or you opened up your mailbox on your computer and you got all kinds of stuff in it. Okay, so you can look at each item. First thing you see is a new price list for a product line that you rarely sell. Is this useful? Probably not. So you just delete it, throw it out. So you let the screen keep out that which is not useful. Next is a service bulletin on a piece of equipment that you have not sold in years. Is it useful? No. Out it goes. Next is a computer report comparing last year's sales in 3 product lines to the sales from 2 years ago. Is that useful? No. Throw it away. Dump it. Delete it. Finally, here's a memo from the boss outlining the agendas, locations, and schedules of sales meetings for the next 2 months. That one you better hold on to. So that one you allow in through your screen. You don't get rid of it right away. You bring it in. Okay? Now this whole process of looking at every single piece of information, whether it's paper or electronic, doesn't matter. This whole process can take you, a few seconds, really, maybe a few moments, depending on how big that list is. But your disciplined screening approach kept a lot of useless information from sucking away your time. And the net effect was you created more selling time for yourself by disciplining yourself to keep out that which is useless and to allow in that which is useful. So that's the first defensive process, screening. Okay, now we're going to look at one more. So now you got a pile of stuff in your physical mailbox or a group of items in your electronic mailbox that you have not deleted. You've allowed in through your screen. Now what do? Now you implement the second key process, triaging. Triaging. Now you may be familiar with the word. It has a medical origin. In every hospital emergency room, there is someone who performs the triaging function. They make a quick assessment of the condition of the incoming patients and then send them to different places and types of treatment depending on that initial assessment. So one person is told to wait in the waiting room for a while longer. Another sent directly to the OB department. Another is admitted to surgery, etc. So the person who does the triaging sends each patient to a location for treatment based on that initial assessment. So you got the idea? You look at each piece and decide where and when to deal with it. So you look at that pile of information or that list of items in your electronic mailbox. You look at each piece one at a time and you say, where is the best place and time to deal with this? And I recommend that you set up several places. So you have one place that you call read and handle immediately. Okay, that could be a folder. You have a pile for file this into my client accounts. You have a file for file this into my product folders. You have a folder for study this when you have time. And there you go. So you got read and handle immediately. Put this into my customer folders. Study this when you have time. There's 3 folders. And now you can have more, but that's a beginning. That's a good beginning. So now you got your 3 folders set up. And now you look at each item on the list and place it in the location where you can deal with it appropriately. So if you thought about this beforehand and arranged the file system, this process may take just a few moments. At the end of that time, you have everything in its place, and you can now deal with it in a time and place you choose. So you go through each item, and you put it in one of the pre-designed folders. And that's it. So you sit down with, so then when you have time, okay, you got 15 minutes, that opened up for you. So you sit down with read and handle immediately, and you go through each item and you take care of it. And then when you have more time, maybe over lunch or when you're sitting in a waiting room somewhere, you open up the study this when you have time folder. And you review the information in there, handle each one appropriately. The stuff for the customer account folders and product folders goes home with you, and you review that and file that, at Friday afternoon or Saturday mornings. And by doing that, you put everything in a time and place to deal with it, and you use that time more effectively. You see that? So 2 disciplines here. By implementing these 2 disciplines, you've taken what could have been an hour or 2 of information engagement and turned it into a few moments of disciplined involvement on your part. You've gotten back hours of selling time and not allowed the tidal wave of information to wash you away. So two words, screening and triaging. And they can work for you in any kind of information. Daily emails, email attachments, stuff in your hard copy mailbox, envelopes and catalogs that appear every day. Do the same with your choice of internet surfing and TV channel hopping. Think of different folders, put them in the folder, and deal with it then at a different time and place. Unfortunately, the information-rich world in which we live has created a situation where some of the techniques and strategies that used to work for you are no longer as effective as they once were. To maintain your effectiveness in this rapidly changing world, you need to take on new skills and processes. And defending yourself from the tidal wave of information which threatens to drown you is one of those new skills that you need to add to your repertoire. Okay, now if you're really serious about time management, I'm going to recommend you go out and buy one of my books, 11 Secrets of Time Management for Salespeople. Originally wrote it was called 10 Secrets of Time Management for Salespeople. Then it became a worldwide seller, available in 8 different languages in over 20 countries. And on the 11th anniversary, close to the 11th anniversary of the book, the publisher came to me and said, we'd like to do a second edition called 11 Secrets in honor of the 11th anniversary of this book. Can you write an additional secret? And I said, yep. And so we created 11 strategies of time management for salespeople. And again, it's become a world book, all available all over the world, because it provides salespeople with both practical advice like this, like we just talked about, as well as deeper principles and processes to really help you organize your life, make great involvement, great use of your time. Okay, 11 Secrets of Time Management for Salespeople. I'll put a link in the show notes. Okay, that's it. We're done. Bye-bye.